She knew something was wrong long before anyone said it out loud. The house had changed. Conversation stopped when she entered, doors closed more often, and her stepmother's tone carried a kind of quiet certainty that made everything feel. Morning, the silence felt sharp. She sat at the edge of her bed, staring at her reflection, trying to understand the feeling in her chest. It wasn't fear exactly. It was something deeper, like standing on the edge of a decision she hadn't made. A knock came at the door. "Come downstairs," her stepmother's voice called. "We need to talk." The words were simple, but they didn't sound like a conversation. They sounded like an outcome. She walked down slowly, each step heavier than the last. The living room was already arranged, chairs set, people seated, faces she didn't fully recognize but understood immediately. This wasn't for her, to war waning. This wasn't for her. This was about her. This was about her. Her stepmother stood near the center, composed as always, her expression calm but firm. "Sit," she didn't argue. She couldn't afari for Hoven. Something about the room made it clear that nothing she said would change what was coming. Once she sat, the silence stretched for a moment longer before her stepmother spoke. "Getting married. You're getting married." The words landed without warning. She blinked, unsure if she heard correctly. "What? To someone who will take responsibility for you," her stepmother continued, as if explaining something practical. "It's already arranged." Her heart started racing. "I don't understand." Her stepmother gestured slightly toward the corner of the room. He stepped forward. At first, she didn't process what she was seeing. His clothes were simple, worn at the edges. His posture was reserved, almost careful, like he was trying not to draw attention. He didn't look at her immediately, and when he did, it was brief, respectful, not demanding, not confident, just quiet. "This is him," her stepmother said. A wave of disbelief hit her. This poor wave hit her. "This isn't serious," she said, her voice shaking now. "You can't decide this for me." Her stepmother's expression didn't change. "It's already decided." "I'm not agreeing to this," she said, louder now, her hands tightening. "You don't need to agree," came the calm calm reply. The room felt small, the walls closer. Her voice, once strong, started to feel like it didn't belong there. She turned to him, searching for something, an answer, a reaction, anything that would break the moment. But he just stood there, silent, not because he didn't care, but because he understood something she didn't yet, that this wasn't a moment he could stop. The ceremony happened quickly after that. No celebration, no joy, process that moved forward whether she was ready or not. Words were spoken, papers signed, people leaving as soon as it was done. And just like that, it was over. Stood there, the weight of it settling in, her future rewritten in a way she never chose. When it was time to leave, she didn't look back. There was nothing behind her anymore, only uncertainty ahead. She stepped outside with him, the man she had just been forced to marry, her thoughts racing, her emotions locked somewhere between anger and disbelief. He opened the door to a small car, waiting for her to get in. For a moment, she hesitated. Then, with nothing left to hold onto, she sat down. The door closed. As the car pulled away, one thought stayed with her, quiet but unshakable. Her life hadn't just changed. It had been taken from her and handed to someone she didn't even know. The drive was quiet. She sat facing forward, her hands folded tightly in her lap, eyes fixed on the road ahead as if staring hard enough might make everything feel less real. And beside her, her husband now, though the word felt unfamiliar, didn't try to speak. He didn't ask questions. He didn't offer comfort. He just drove. That silence should have made things worse. Somehow, it didn't. It gave her space to think, even if her thoughts didn't have clear answers yet. When the car finally stopped, she looked up. The house was small, simple. Nothing like the place she had left behind. No large gates, no polished exterior, no sign of the life she once knew. Just a quiet structure that blended into its surroundings. "This is it," he said calmly. Stepped out slowly, taking in every detail as if trying to measure the distance between who she was and where she had landed. Felt far, too far. Inside, the space was clean but modest. Were you table for forming partition? Too far. Inside, the space was clean but modest. A small table, basic furniture, no decorations meant to impress anyone. It didn't look temporary, it looked lived. She stood near the doorway, unsure where to go, what to say, or even how to exist in a place like this. "You can take the room on the left," he said, placing the keys down. "Stay in the other one." The words caught her off guard. "You don't have to worry," he added, his tone steady. "I won't force anything on you. Won't force anything you." Turned to look at him, confusion poured amafaral. Fusion replacing some of the tension in her expression. "Why?" she asked. He paused for a moment, as if choosing his answer carefully. "Because this wasn't your choice," he said. "And I respect that." The simplicity of it made her hesitate. She had expected something else: pressure, control, expectations she couldn't meet. But instead, she was being given something she didn't expect at all. Space. The days that followed were quiet, not uncomfortable, just unfamiliar. They moved around each other carefully at first, like two people learning how to exist in the same space without crossing lines they didn't understand. Yet, he kept his distance, speaking only when necessary, never stepping beyond what he had said on the first day. She noticed things slowly, the way he woke up early without making noise. The way he handled small tasks with focus, as if nothing was beneath his attention. The way he never asked her to do anything she wasn't ready for. It didn't match what she had been told, it didn't match what she expected. One evening, as the sun faded through the window, she found herself watching him from across the room. He was fixing something near the table, his movements calm, precise. "You don't seem like someone who needed this," she said suddenly. He glanced up briefly. "By par what?" "You don't seem like someone who needed this," she said suddenly. He glanced up briefly. "Needed what?" "This," she gestured slightly. "A marriage like this, some poker war and problema maiores." He returned his attention to what he was doing. "Maybe I didn't." "Then why agree to it?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, he said, "Because sometimes things aren't what they look like at first." The answer didn't explain much, but it stayed with her. Because the more she watched him, the more she realized something felt hidden, not in a suspicious way. In a quiet way, like there was more to him than he was showing. And for the first time since everything changed, her thoughts shifted, not about what she lost, but about what she didn't yet understand. The quiet between them began to change. At first, it had been distance, two people sharing a space without truly meeting in it. But as the days passed, that distance wall softened. Not all at once, not in a way she could clearly point to, but enough that she started noticing things she had missed before. He wasn't just calm, he was deliberate. Every action had purpose, even the smallest ones. The way he organized things, the way he handled problems without hesitation, the way he seemed to understand situations before they fully unfolded. It didn't match the image she had been given, it didn't match the man she thought she married. One afternoon, she found him outside, speaking on the phone. His tone was low, controlled, but different from how he spoke to her, more direct, more authoritative. She paused near the door, not wanting to interrupt, but unable to ignore the shift. "I already reviewed it," he said. "That timeline won't work, adjust it." A short silence followed. "What?" "No, firmer, no, muka wafers bro," he added, firmer now. "Do it the right way." Then he ended the call. When he turned and saw her standing there, his expression didn't change much, but something in his posture softened slightly, as if he had stepped back into the version of himself she was used to seeing. "You needed something?" he asked. She studied him for a second. "Who were you talking to?" "Work," he replied simply. "What kind of work?" she pressed. He hesitated, but only for a moment. "The kind that keeps things running." "The fur." The answer wasn't clear, and she knew it, but before she could question it further, a car pulled up outside. Not just any car, a sleek, expensive one that didn't belong in a place like this. Her eyes followed it as the door opened and someone stepped out, dressed sharply, moving with purpose. The man approached them, stopping just a few steps away. "Sir," he said, nodding respectfully. "Sir," the word landed heavily. She looked at her husband, confusion rising again. The man handed him a folder. "Everything is ready. We're on schedule." He took it without hesitation, flipping it open briefly, scanning the contents with practiced ease. "Good," he said. "Keep it that way. No uncertainty, no hesitation. Authority." The same tone she had heard on the phone, the same presence she hadn't fully understood until now. The man nodded again and returned to the car, leaving as quickly as he arrived. Silence followed. Silence followed. But this time, it wasn't the same kind. She turned to him slowly. "You're not who they said you were." It wasn't a question. It was a realization. He closed the folder, then looked at her, really looked, as if deciding whether to continue hiding something that was already becoming clear. "No," he said quietly. "I'm not." Her heart raced, her thoughts catching up all at once. "Then who are you?" "Then who are you?" she asked. For a moment he didn't answer. Then, with a calm she was starting to recognize for what it truly was, he said, "Someone who needed to be underestimated." The words shifted everything, because suddenly, the pieces began to connect, the quiet confidence, the hidden authority. The life that didn't match the image. It had never been simple, it had never been what it seemed. And now, standing in front of him, she realized the truth she hadn't seen before. The man she was forced to marry wasn't someone who had nothing. He was someone who chose to appear that way, and that changed everything. She couldn't see him the same way anymore. Everything she thought she understood about him had shifted in a matter of seconds. The quiet man, the simple life, the small house, none of it fit together now. Not after what she had just seen, not after the way people spoke to him, and the way he responded without hesitation. "You chose this?" she asked, her voice steady but filled with disbelief. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped slightly closer, his expression calm but no longer distant. "Yes," he said finally. "Why would anyone choose Kampu for? Why would anyone choose to live like this?" She pressed. He looked around briefly, as if considering the space not as something lacking, but as something intentional. "Because it shows you what's real," he said, "and who is." The words settled slowly. She thought back to everything that had happened, the forced marriage, the silence, the way he never treated her like she owed him anything. The way he gave her space when he could have taken control. "You knew about me?" she asked. "A little," he admitted, "enough to know you didn't deserve what was done to you." That stopped her. For a moment, the anger she had been holding onto shifted into something else, something quieter. "Then why go through with it?" she asked. He met her gaze. "Because sometimes the only way to change something, is to step into it." Before she could respond, his phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, then back at her. "It's time," he said. "For what?" He didn't answer directly. "Come with me." There was something different in his tone now, not forceful, but certain. And without fully understanding why, she followed. The same car from earlier was waiting. But this time, it didn't feel out of place. The drive was longer than before. The roads changed, the surroundings shifting from quiet streets to something far more controlled, more structured. She watched everything carefully, her mind trying to catch up with what was happening. When they finally stopped, she stepped out and froze. In front of her stood something she had only ever seen from a distance, a private jet, large, polished. Impossible to ignore, her heart began to race. She started, turning toward him. "What is this?" He walked past her slightly, then turned back, his expression calm but fully revealed now. "This is part of my life," he said. She stared at him, the final pieces falling into place. "You're not just someone hiding your identity," she said slowly. "You're someone who built something bigger than appearances," he finished. Silence wrapped in the moment. All way beer finished. Silence wrapped around the moment. Everything she had believed, everything she had been told, everything she had feared, it all shifted into something entirely different. "And the marriage?" she asked quietly. "Was that part of it too?" He stepped closer, not as a stranger, not as someone distant, but as someone finally being honest. "No," he said. "That was the only part I didn't plan." The answer stayed with her. Because for the first time since everything began, something felt real, not forced, not arranged, real. He extended his hand slightly, not demanding, just offering. "You can walk away now," he said. "No pressure, no expectations." She looked at his hand, then at him, then at the life she thought she had lost. And the one now standing in front of her. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then, slowly, she stepped forward. Not because she had to, but because this time, it was her choice, and that made all the difference.